In the one match we played against Club América that actually mattered, in the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League, we did beat them. Thanks to the heroics of our captain, Carlos Vela, down to 10 men and down 1-0. Going into the second half, Carlos Vela scored 2 goals in under 2 minutes to put us up 2-1, and we ended up winning 3-1 thanks to a 90th minute goal from, any guesses?
Oh, shit.
Hello and welcome to Happy Foot, Sad Foot, your LAFC gateway drug and the only LAFC podcast that months ago dressed up like LA Galaxy fans, stole a banner from San Diego FC, and then just this past weekend re-dressed up like Galaxy fans, flipped the banner over and started a giant brawl so that both sides would look really fucking stupid. I'm Travis Helwig.
I'm Vince LaRosa.
And I'm Darren Miller. Welcome to our preview episode of LAFC's FIFA Club World Cup play-in match versus Club America on Saturday, May 31st at 7:30 p.m. at BMO Stadium. You can watch it for free on DAZN.com and the DAZN app. And our live post-game call-in show will start 10 minutes after the final whistle at youtube.com/@HappyFootSadFoot. And just a reminder, we have brand new merch, which is available over at HappyFootSadFootPod.com, except for our sold-out limited edition patron-only scarf. But tons more over on our website, and if you're a patron member, you get a 15% discount, not a 50% discount. That would bankrupt us.
That would be crazy. Later in the show, we finally bid a proper farewell to the king, Carlos Vela, and of course, we'll discuss all this week's storylines and make some bets. But first, you people demanded. It's time for listener-mandated banter. What a week we got ahead of us. Darren, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Surgery was good. It was a real roller coaster. Recovering, and now I'm like I'm at the home stretch and I'm feeling good.
You seem almost entirely the same to me. Almost entirely the same.
Great. I can breathe through my nose now.
Yeah, like what is the difference?
I can breathe through my nose, which is huge. I have become like very unimpressed by normal people who have been going through life being able to do this the whole time. It's crazy. Like, I don't know what I'm about to be able to accomplish, but I feel like everyone else should have been able to accomplish a lot more with oxygen going to their brain.
I think soon, if I'm going to make a guess at what you might be able to accomplish, I would say go into some voice acting.
I do want to say the elephant in the room, Darren. I don't know if you know this. You sound completely different than what you used to sound.
Yeah, like a good cartoony sidekick.
Do you know that you sound different?
No.
So if you want to unsubscribe to the Patreon, head over to patreon.com/HappyFootSadFoot so you don't have to listen to Darren's stupid fucking voice. We know that's not real, Darren. Take the filter off.
Okay, fine.
I'm so mad.
I did almost crack when you said something about the percentage and you're like, we'd be bankrupt. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. That voice, I couldn't. That was a little too much.
I have a question about something you said earlier. DAZN, on NBA TNT last night, they called it DAZN. Is that what they go by?
Oh,
it's DAZN?
DAZN.
I didn't want to slow it.
I said DAZN.
It's DAZN.
DAZN.
DAZN?
This is I kind of feel this way about when it comes to names. Like, there's a certain cultural awareness that would be ideal that you have to know what a name's supposed to sound like. When it comes to like a made up name of a service or a product, like, I'm being given zero indication of what this is supposed to be called. I feel zero responsibility to pronounce this correctly.
Yeah, it should have been D''zone, like Pizzone.
Yeah, it's a bad choice. Like, they're like, DAZN, okay, that sounds kind of cool, right? But that's not what it looks like.
Right.
DAZN? Yeah, and in high, like, when you think about it, DAZN means nothing. What is stupid?
In the zone? Like the
Discovery Zone?
It was somebody definitely overthinking it and being like, when they explained it, somebody said what I said to them was like, oh yeah, I guess that's kind of cool. And they're like, see? It's fucking cool. And they just went with it.
It wasn't someone overthinking it. It was someone looking at a list of short available domain names.
Yes, it is. It's got CISO
like,
written all over it. It's like CISO. It's just like a boardroom full of people writing consonants.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to guess, just by knowing some things about sports business and what they've been doing and the money they've been throwing around, I don't think you're going to have to know their name more than a year from now.
Yikes. Yeah.
Whoa,
fair.
That's some backstage DAZN gossip. Anytime you want to hear anything about DAZN, head over to Hobbyfoot's Adfoot. I also want to say we plugged the merch. Some merch is a cash grab, and we can be honest. Some merch is a cash grab. This merch is good, and it's comfortable. Like, it really is comfortable. Like,
can't hear you when you're not on the mic.
I love
it really is comfortable.
Around completely.
That's how comfortable I am in this hoodie. It is like, I just think you should think about getting this hoodie from a comfort. You could hate us. Turn it inside out. It just feels really good.
I think it should be pretty clear on our site. There is merch that you get because it's fun to have something that has that design or says that thing. And then there's stuff that's like actually like cool. Great functional.
Well, and specifically stuff. If you want the look that Travis is pulling off, Travis he stylized it by going up a couple sizes. He wanted it to be a really loose hoodie. I'm just trying to tell people because they know exactly the size of Travis. We've talked about this in our Ricky Pooj episode. So I'm just making sure that they don't think they're going to order Travis's size and think they're going to get a loose fit kind of, slinky hoodie.
That's true.
I also want to shout out the one person on Reddit that said, someone asked, where do you get non-official LAFC merch? And someone said, we have the best non-official LAFC merch. I want to say Club.Football has really good stuff as well.
Oh, they're great.
And Coach Q Pins, who we're about to drop a collab with, also has great pins if you want pins. And someone in our Discord.
Spoiler alert.
Started, I know, whatever.
I'm not even going to say, see if you can guess what we cut. We cut just naturally segueing into like administrative housekeeping discussion.
Straight boring stuff. Yeah, you guys don't need it.
And yeah, it wasn't even fun. Usually it's like, oh, you said something mean about someone or something borderline offensive.
Don't give them hints.
All right, start the show. I think we're ready. We got a big one this week.
Let's do it. This is a big show, guys.
Thick sewed.
Is that a thing?
No.
We got a real thick sewed.
We got a real thick sewed. It's from a D&D podcast. So I could say I made it.
I kind of like it, but I want to know if it's like a thing or if you just made it up because I want to know where I can find it.
That there's no crossover listeners. We could start saying thick sewed.
No, we got a thick sewed. It's not as fun if we didn't think of it. Is it from Emily and Murph's podcast?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's where I've heard it too.
That's where it's from. Also check it out. But thick sewed. We're saying it from now on.
Thick sewed from not another D&D podcast, but this is a thick sewed. So start the show, Darren.
Yeah.
There is some crossover. Anyway. All right. Well, as the more casually obsessed LAFC fan on this show, I love LAFC and I'll never miss a match, but I don't have time to stay on top of all the advanced stats, roster moves, rumors, tactics, and off-the-field drama that I can't get from just watching the matches when all I see watching the match is ball get kicked, ball go in net, Frenchman thighs, which I'm used to seeing up until that last part, so I'm not even sure if I should trust it, especially with the 5 different prescription drugs in my system. 6 if you count the thighs. Luckily, my friends Travis, the human LAFC crazy wall, and Vince, the LAFC patron saint of tactics, are here to catch me up each week on the most important storylines that live beneath the surface of every match so we can all enjoy them so much more in a segment we call Storylines.
Darren, Vince, Dince. Shout out to Ephraim for buying the Dince merch. Just want to say thank you so much, Ephraim. I come to you on what some people are saying is one of, if not the most important weeks in LAFC history with some storylines. And this first storyline can only be this. Just how much did Carlos Vela mean to this club? Earlier this week, Carlos Vela and LAFC announced that our former captain and our very first signing would be retiring from the sport of football at the age of 35. He will be remaining with the club as a club ambassador, which, if it's anything like being a real ambassador, means he just gets paid to drink at fancy restaurants in Europe and he can't be arrested. They also said he will be celebrated on September 21st, a long time from now, on Carlos Vela Night, which I can only assume we all form one big line and each get to kiss him on the lips once. So forgive me. Yeah, that's what what else could Carlos Vela Night mean? So forgive me, but I have a monologue and I'm going to monologue for this next section. I wrote a lot.
Oh, no.
Carlos Vela wasn't just an important player to LAFC. Carlos was LAFC. There is no single player that will ever mean more to this club, period. Carlos took a shot on us when we were just a cool crest and an idea of a stadium. Carlos promised winning soccer and trophies, and Carlos gave us winning soccer and trophies. Carlos wasn't just our captain, our number 10, our leader. He also delivered in every way imaginable. He was an MLS All-Star 4 times, was an MLS Best 11 member 3 times. He scored a goal or an assist in over half of the playoff games he ever appeared in. He led us to win the 2019 and 2022 Supporters Shield trophies. He led us to 2 CONCACAF Champions League finals, something no other team has ever done from MLS. And he led us to the 2023 MLS Cup final and won us the 2022 MLS Cup, giving us the trophy we all desperately wanted. He gave us the star above our crest, and when he hoisted the cup at Christmas Tree Lane, he yelled probably the most iconic line in club history. In Spanish, he yelled, "Here's your fucking trophy." Vela is also the 3rd fastest player to ever reach 100 goals in MLS. He is one of 13 players to ever reach 75 goals and 50 assists, and he did it faster than anyone else. He won the MLS Golden Boot. He became the only LAFC player to ever win MLS MVP. And he not only still holds the record for most goals by a single player in a season, he also holds the goals per game average. So shut up to anyone who says we played a different amount of games at a different amount of times. He is, by all accounts, one of the best Major League Soccer players of all time, if not the best Major League Soccer player of all time. Now, those are the stats. But Carlos Vela was so much more than stats. There was something magical about Carlos, and I will miss a lot about him. I will miss when he would shift the ball to his left foot just outside the 18, and I could close my eyes and know the thing was going to curl into the top left corner as if it was destined to return to its home. I will miss watching him kiss his fist after a goal and hold it up to his family in the box after every single goal, sometimes adding in some Spider-Man moves or some other fun thing that him and his children had discussed. I will miss watching him watch the game, threading the perfect pass just beyond the defender to Diego Rossi or Denny Bouanga or Chicho Arango or any long list of players that he has made infinitely better just by being on the pitch with them. I will miss how often I said alone to myself, Vela, 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 Vela. I will miss.
You don't have to miss that. Don't miss that. You keep doing it.
I will miss how hot he was. I will miss how hot his wife was. I will miss thinking about how hot he was at every match I saw him. I will miss a lot. But most of all, I am just thankful to Carlos Vela for taking a risk on our club, which could have been a disaster, but wasn't. And it wasn't a disaster because of him. Because Carlos, just eking out the 3252 and the fact that our logo looks good on hats, made more people LAFC fans than anything else. There's a reason Ilie Sanchez let Carlos hoist the US Open Cup trophy last year despite not playing in that tournament. And there's a reason they kept his locker empty years after it was clear he was never going to return to form. And there's a reason no one else dares wear the number 10 at this club. There's a reason fans are already calling for a statue of the man just 8 years into our club's existence. And that's because Carlos wasn't just the best player this club has ever seen. Carlos was Los Angeles Football Club, and Los Angeles Football Club does not exist in its current form, roundly considered one of the best franchises in Major League Soccer history, without Carlos's decision to take a risk on this expansion, this fan base, and this city. And I really hope he just feels a fraction of the love that we feel for him back towards us as fans as well. Because in the end, some of our fan base, us included, did not always show up for him the way he deserved, but he always, always, always showed up for us. And of course, we have Velamania tanks available right now at happyfootsadfootpod.com. Vince, that's what it was like to watch Carlos as a fan. You worked at the club for a lot of the time Carlos was in his prime at LAFC. And I want you to tell us what it was like to be around Carlos, the person, and how he was viewed from the inside, and just how it felt to be in his presence.
A lot the way that you guys felt. Let's be honest. And it went from almost the top to the bottom of the club. I mean, like, Bob Bradley's a tough person to impress. Bob Bradley's seen a lot of things. Bob Bradley would talk about Carlos doing things that he had never seen before and the way Carlos could do things. And in some ways, like a lot of what we saw, you know, one of the first memories that people have of Bob or like Carlos and Bob is that documentary where Bob says like, I want you to be like Messi. It became a big thing. It became too big of a thing because really Bob was doing what almost any good coach does. And is like, I know how good you are. You're my star. Like, be a star. Go out there and do it. And he really was. Until Messi came here, Carlos literally was the Messi of this league. Left-footed, could do everything. Pass, dribble, score. One thing that I talk about often, especially nowadays, that we never really talked about with Carlos was he was a safe harbor for any player. Like, if you had the ball and you were absolutely terrified where to go with it because you didn't want to lose the ball, pass it to Carlos. He's probably going to be able to take any touch with the ball, keep the ball, and then move it on to its next destination. So for players on the field, he was like a safety blanket, right? And then on top of it, sometimes you could just play him like this dog shit ball and he would still take it and score a goal with it and make you look even better. So yeah, there was a reverence about him. Carlos, I mean, I was incredibly privileged to be there and get to speak with Carlos and be around him. And there was kind of like a force field around him. And sometimes he was also hard to work with, but I'll say this, like, he was incredibly consistent. The dude just loved what he loved and he didn't make any excuses about it. Like when people were like, you don't really love soccer. He's like, I don't even need to respond to that. I'm here. Like I'm here every day. I score my goals. I have a good time. I love my teammates. I don't care. He's like, but if you want me to love it more, I'm not going to do it just because you want me to. I play this game because it makes me happy. And when I'm happy, I play at my best. And he was so open about that, which is so funny because we talk about players all the time as like robots. And like they all say the same things. But you have one guy that comes in and goes like, you know what? I had a great time in Europe. I wish I maybe could have done more, but I just want to go somewhere where I can be a little more comfortable with my family and I can be happy and play my best. And that's exactly what he did. And people said, the guy doesn't care. But you read off, like you were reading for a good 5 minutes, his stat line, like of all the records, like the man is incredible. He was an incredible player. And one last thing I'll say about him that not a lot of people know, funny. Like legit funny dude. He would say things like, because again, you would always kind of be around him and look, it didn't have to be said, but everyone knew if you were to piss off Carlos Vela in some way, shape or form, like as an employee at LAFC, there's probably a good chance you don't have a job in the morning. So we all were, again, that was another like little bit of like force field around him, right? But every once in a while, he would just like come out of nowhere and like say something to you. Or like even like an aside, and it would make you bust up. He had like impeccable timing and just really great one-liners, and like he got it. He was a fun guy to be around when he was in the mood. So, yeah, I definitely loved being around him. He did things that I'd never seen before on the field in games and in practice. Another thing that I loved about him, as I keep talking too long, is he was incredibly competitive, and I know that people think that that's not true because he left Europe or because he said he didn't care. But within practice, there's a lot of times where like you're doing something and then you're going to move to another drill. And if you're going to move to another drill, there's usually like a break where they're moving the goals or you're getting some water and everyone's just kind of standing around. Carlos really loved to then take that moment to try to chip Pablo Cisniega from anywhere on the field and would do it like often. And it became a thing where Pablo would get so mad that he'd kind of forget. And then all of a sudden the ball would be in the air. And so he would like try to race back to stop it. And when he would stop it, he would get really excited. But like he would make so many of them. And literally, I remember asking him one time, I was like, dude, what's up with that? He's like, I just like to score goals. And I like to score goals on that guy. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. Like, that's the coolest thing. I was like, a lot
of people like to score goals on that guy.
But it was practice, right? And it wouldn't matter. Like he would be 50 yards away, like on like the touchline of midfield. And he's like, Pablo's not paying attention. He would just boot one. And like you said, it would go in the top corner. And you're like, dude. And Pablo would I'm telling you, he would get so mad every time. But it was one of the cooler things to watch.
Darren, I have sort of a tangential question for you, but I want to give you a chance to speak to a little bit about what Carlos meant to you and this team.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about some of my favorite Carlos Vela memories. We're going to hear from people who sent stuff into us later. Thank you for everyone who did that. I decided to go back and take stock of like how many times I got to see him in person. That felt like it was important to me. And so I went back into my old photos because the first handful of times I guess I can't think. I'm sure I've never gone to a game and not like taken a bunch of dumb photos that are just the same as all the other photos I've taken at BMO. But I discovered that I caught the first goal of his I ever saw on camera in person because it was a PK, so I knew it was coming. So that was cool that I was able to watch that. But I think my favorite memory is one that a lot of listeners shared. I happened to be at the Colorado game, which is the last game of the regular season in 2019, with the hat trick to put him over the edge. Well, the first goal put him over the edge for the record. And that was insane. That was the like superhero version where you get, I would say on a normal day, Carlos Vela was just, one of the best players you've ever seen play soccer. And then he had like another level even that was just like, oh, you're just watching a cartoon kind of like, this is insane. But that was still like I hadn't been to a lot of games at that point. And it was the first game that I got to go with Allie, my wife, and Kevin and Katie, our friends, came, and Keaton, our son, was 1.5 at the time, and he was with us. It was a day game, so we all went. I found a photo, Travis, I took from across the stadium because I knew your section. So I have a photo from across the stadium of you and Jen. And there's a bunch of photos of like us and Keaton. He's like napping, and then the score is changing. So that's something I'll always remember. It just like happened to be, I think, an important moment just for me personally in my fandom, but then also one of the most historic games in MLS history, I think you could say. Not only were those historic goals, but also those were beautiful goals, that game. Like, they didn't have to be nice goals.
Yeah, they were like all bangers.
Oops, all bangers.
Like a half bicycle was one of them. It was like a scissor kick.
Yep.
It was crazy.
I mean, that season watching it, it's like, it's a shame we didn't win MLS Cup that season because it was just, I've never been a fan of a team as dominant as that team was dominant that year. You just like expected to win by 4 goals. Vince and I can give our memories when we go do the other thing, but I wanted to hear from you now. All right, well, why don't we move on? I won't ask the tangential question, but we're going to talk about Carlos Vela more later. But I'm glad we got to talk about it a little up top. But we have an important game this week, guys. And I think that's a pretty big part of our storylines as well. So,
where we all get to kiss Carlos Vela?
Yeah. And the second storyline is tongue or no tongue. But let's move on to the second most important storyline of the week. And it's this. Just which LAFC is going to show up for the Club World Cup? Back to reality, baby. This Saturday, LAFC will be playing potentially the most important game of the season, a 1-game playoff match against Club América, the most popular team on the planet, with the winning spot earning a spot, or with the winner earning a spot in the Club World Cup, which FIFA is hoping to turn into the biggest club competition in the world. It remains to be seen just how much of the top clubs buy into this, but FIFA is going to be giving out over $1 billion in prize money each time they do this tournament, which I do think is going to be enough to incentivize some of these owners to force their clubs into paying attention. If LAFC wins just this one game on Saturday at home, our owners will receive $10 million from FIFA, which is a massive incentive for the club to keep investing so that they keep getting into this tournament and they keep making that prize money. Now, that money can't be added to the cap, but obviously owners pay the salary of the teams. And in the case of DPs, salary can be a lot of fucking money. So incentivizing owners to invest in the team by giving them money when they invest in the team is objectively a very good thing. So all signs point to this match being one of the most, if not the most important game of the season. But if you can define LAFC season in a single word, it would be inconsistent. We showed up massively at home, defeating Columbus and Inter Miami, but then got our shit absolutely rocked by both of those clubs away from home. In fact, the only consistency this season we've had is that we played great at BMO and terrible everywhere else. But even in some of those home games where we've won, the team felt a little bit, I don't know how else to say it, not locked in. So Vince, we've talked a lot about LAFC's up and down season on the show. How confident are you in the team's mentality heading into Saturday? And what does the team need to do that has been missing from some of our sloppy games recently?
Having seen it not once, but then again against Miami. So we saw it once against Columbus and we all said like, wow, that intensity, that level. That's the level. They got to try to live up to that level. And then, as you said, there were some moments in between where we were like, oh, okay, well, they very much can, they can stink sometimes. Okay, cool. So then Miami comes along and we were all terrified. Like, let's just be honest. We were terrified of what could happen. We did not want our team to be humiliated in front of us. And they gave another performance of that level that they gave against Columbus. So we know they can do it. And I think that is the one kind of consistent through line is they're pretty good at home, and they're also pretty good at playing up to their competition at home and or unfortunately down to their competition at home. So Club America is a very good team. And I do feel confident that there will at least be a level of intensity and a focus and concentration that will be of the level that they played when they played against Columbus and they played against Miami. And now remember, the Columbus game, it felt like a romp, but it was pretty tight throughout the game. And then we basically poured it on, and we should have, because it was a 2-leg affair and we needed those goals. Miami was tight pretty much the entire game through. So despite how well we played, we came up against another good team, and there was still thin margin. So in my saying, like, I'm very confident that they will reach that level, that is not at all me saying, like, but they're going to kill Club America. I just think that they're going to come up against a team that is a very good team, and I think they will at least match their level throughout. The scoreline can be what it is. Soccer is incredibly unpredictable, and there's some bounces that don't go your way, but I do feel confident in saying that when we show up to the stadium on Saturday, that you can know that the team itself will have the same level of intensity and energy and enthusiasm that I think the supporters bring week in and week out to that stadium. So I feel very confident in that.
Darren, you always seem locked in editing the show up until 4 a.m. at night. Any tips for the club that might need to lock in for this one?
Stimulants. I'm on a lot of prescription medication right now. When you're recovering from a surgery, a lot of these guys are recovering from injuries. So I feel like I'm in their headspace right now. Oxycodone I'm on an opioid, a steroid, an antibiotic.
Are you still taking your normal opioid?
So just a cocktail.
Yeah, Adderall, that's helpful.
Okay, yeah.
Then we've got a series of allergy medication.
Yeah, but sure.
A lot of
there's a lot of grass. There's grass out there, you know.
I mean, and so if you're a player,
is helpful.
If you're a player that needs medicine, call us. We got your back, baby.
I've got a lot of translucent orange bottles. I'm closing a lot of doors, making sure my dog and kids don't die.
And no paper trail.
Yeah, and absolutely no proof that we gave Sergi Palencia Oxycontin. So that's what LAFC has to do, right? But even at our best,
drugs.
Even at our best, I do think LAFC will go into this game considered the underdog, which brings us to our final storyline of the week, which is this. Just how good is Club América? Just last week, America lost in the Liga MX finals, which, wow, guess they can't win in big games, Dolo out. But talking financials alone, they have the highest roster spend of anyone in Liga MX. And by most estimates, they spend over double what LAFC does on players every single year. They have 13 Liga MX titles and boast the biggest fan base on the continent, which probably means we can kiss our home field advantage goodbye. They have won multiple CONCACAF Champions League titles and are basically considered the Real Madrid of North America. Plus, we got to admit, their crest fucking rules. I love it so much. The graphic design is great. I really think we need to talk about that more. It's probably one of the best crests in the world. But LAFC and kids, always they have great kids. But I do want to remind everyone that in the one match we played against Club América that actually mattered, in the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League, we did beat them, thanks to the heroics of our captain, Carlos Vela, down to 10 men and down 1-0. Going into the second half, Carlos Vela scored 2 goals in under 2 minutes to put us up 2-1, and we ended up winning 3-1 thanks to a 90th minute goal from, any guesses?
Oh, shit.
Wait, I know this. Yoshi.
Darren
Yoshi
is
from Mario?
correct. Latif Blessing was the player who scored That's who Yoshi is, right? Or is it a Poku Yoshi? Yeah, no, it's Latif Play. We have every year we have a Yoshi. We haven't talked about this.
A Yoshi.
Every year we have a Yoshi.
more of a role.
Yeah. Who is it this year?
It was Latif Blessing.
Is Nathan our Yoshi this year? Or is Amaya smaller?
Ooh. I think it's Nate Ordaz's seat to lose, but Amaya's maybe going to give him a run for his money.
Yeah. So we do have history beating them in important competitions. Vince, tell us just how good America is and tell us how worried we should be to face the Real Madrid of Mexico City.
Well, you pointed out that they lost in the final just recently to Toluca, but before that, they won 3 in a row. Pretty big deal. So that they were basically going for their 4th in a row. And I want to point out the roster spend is not insignificant, especially when you consider this. LAFC's roster is skewed specifically towards 3 players every single year. They're doubling us, but also they're spending that across their entire roster. So it's not far-fetched when people say they field 11 DPs. I would think that under roster rules, they probably do if they were to play in MLS. So and then it's not just that. Like, they are, as you said, the Real Madrid of North America. Amazing support. They've won everything. And then they tend to collect stars. They want big players. They've got big name players. And so you're coming up against a team where from top to bottom, they're very strong. They're very good. They're very experienced. They've won things. But then beyond that, let's say the game is 1-1 or 1-0 and you need to change the game. The guys coming off the bench, they're also DPs. So the team is,
and I don't think
good.
They'll be playing players with 3 numbers on the back of their jersey. I think they'll be
Not
playing their good players.
Nope. I don't even think they'll be there. So it's gonna be a tall task, and I think the worst thing that could happen is what did happen. They lost their last game. So they are going to be motivated to want to get to this competition regardless. But having lost to Toluca and not gotten the 4th championship in a row, I think that puts a carrot at the end of the stick where they have this something to go for. And then on top of it, I think being away from home, like, they were not happy with FIFA's decision to just go ahead and schedule it at LAFC Stadium. So I think they have a point to prove.
I saw some people online being like, see, they're beatable. They lost in the final. And I was like, that's the worst case scenario. You just motivated a team that could come in overconfident, and now they're going to want to punish, right? They're going to want to prove something.
Also would have loved for them to take that night out celebrating, but I don't think they did that.
Also, Toluca probably fields 11 DPs too.
Yeah, they do.
They do. Yeah, most of the top teams in Liga MX does. Darren, Brian Rodriguez, you think we were too mean to him?
Yes.
Do you think he'll enjoy his time in Miami?
He's good. Like, think about how many Brian Rodriguez's, but worse, we've had. We started, as soon as he left, we started being like, oh, he's the new Brian Rodriguez. And little by little, every year we get a new player that's like, isn't it funny to make fun of him because he's kind of like Brian Rodriguez? And they got worse and worse. And we started to realize, ever so slightly, hey, wait a second. Brian Rodriguez was actually pretty good. And these guys are all worse. And we can't seem to find someone even as good as him.
You know what? Brian Rodriguez, I think, was frustrating. And he's been great with America. He was frustrating to watch because he sort of played like Denny Bouanga if he wasn't finishing. And then he never broke through, right? It was like, he did score a couple, but like he would play so ball hoggy, and it was antithetical to how Carlos and Diego played together. So I remember just getting very frustrated with him. But we also were incredibly spoiled at the time. And we thought that would last for a long time. And now I think they think he's going to be permanently sent over to Miami soon. So just something to think about. Brian Rodriguez back in Major League Soccer with a much better team. One final question, Darren. Ever been to Mexico City?
Mexico City. Can't say I've been there. I've only been to Mexico once. I was in Puerto Vallarta. It's one of the closer cities to Los Angeles. Easy to get to. I've always wanted to go to Mexico City. It seems awesome. Never been there.
Well, glad we got that out of the way. Those are our very meaty storylines for this week. A thick sode coming up this week. When we come back, we hear some of your best Carlos Vela memories.
And we're back. As we mentioned, Carlos Vela has finally formally announced his retirement from soccer to pursue family vacationing full-time. we asked all of you to send in your favorite Carlos Vela memories from his time at LAFC so we can enshrine them in a segment we call Carlos Vela, King of Our History. I don't have a sound for that.
Oh.
But I just wanted to correct the record. There we go.
Sure, that works.
I just saw they put out a graphic that said part of our history, and I was like, yeah, well, more than that. Like, literally, like, started the history.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. How do you, I don't know how to say
Founding father.
Yeah, founding father.
Anyway, tons of people sent stuff in. Unfortunately, a lot more people sent stuff in than we are able to fit into one episode. So we are going to figure out some way to post everything somehow, and we're going to share some highlights that fit this episode now.
I'll give my memory first before we go to other people. I don't have a big emotional one personally. I think honestly, the Vela. I was like, I can't believe
that's unbeatable.
This guy's on our team, right? Like watching someone do that, it just felt like I was watching a player that is too good for America. And in a lot of ways he was. It just was like, I'm so lucky. It was a rare moment where I get to be like, I'm so lucky that I get to watch this guy every week. And I feel grateful for it because like it made its way to like the Reddit main soccer thing. And people were talking about how good of a goal it was and shit. It's like, it's always good when an MLS clip breaks through and people are actually impressed outside of the MLS subreddit. I'll say that. And then also I liked when he pretended to hit a home run after scoring in Yankee Stadium. I thought that was really funny.
That was a good one.
I think it's also worth mentioning part of what built up the legend of Carlos Vela so well is that we were also lucky having Brados and Denholm calling some of those goals. Not that was someone else. The Vela was not either of them, but I went back last night and watched some of those highlights, and like my favorite Brados call was probably he posted a few. He's been posting a few of them, but the like Carlos, it's your city call was like, beautiful.
Yeah. And you know what also was great? How fucking mad Zlatan was that Carlos played the way he was when he was here, right? Like people like to only talk about the couple of Trafico games, but you could tell Zlatan thought he was going to come to America and like be the king of Los Angeles. But then Carlos had the best single season in MLS history while Zlatan was here. And you can just fucking tell he was frustrated and he hated Carlos. And he would talk shit about him in the media where he'd be like, well, he's in his prime. If I was in my prime, I would be doing that. Like you could just tell he was frustrated that he wasn't the megastar that he could have been because everyone liked LAFC now. And Carlos Vela was a better player than him on the total. And we knocked him out of the playoffs in his final game, which was also beautiful. Vince, do you want to give yours or do you want us to get to some of these other ones first?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give mine. I do think that goal is against San Jose because it's not often you see something that you've absolutely never seen before. And like that goal, I'd never seen anything like it. And I don't think we've really seen anything since. I know MLS loves to be like, look at all these team goals. And it's like, yeah, but look at that. Like, just watch that. It's poetry. Like the way everyone moves together. And then just the way that Carlos is like, all right, I beat that guy. Now I beat that guy. And hey, let me wait for the guy to come back, and then I'm going to put it in the net. And it was just like,
what? The hesitation before he shot was so mean.
Yeah, he just did not. He was just like, it's only going to be cool if I can do it the way I want to do it. We referenced the speech at the rally after they won the speech front, not just the end, front to back. Like when he was like, hey, listen to me. Like he calmed everyone down and was like, listen, fuckers. Like he was like, I got something to say. Was clearly had a few pops in him, which was great. And then one thing that I've spoken about this a couple times, but just in general, just a more like bigger picture thing. And I was just pulling it up while we were getting ready to do this. So in that 2019 season, when he was so good, they played at home between playoffs, regular season, US Open Cup 20 times. Carlos scored 15 of those 20 times. So only in 5 games did he not score a goal at home. And I don't think it can be understated how awesome it is, especially for a club that's just starting, that there's a player in which, and Darren, you have kids, you can bring your kid. Like, let's say you have let's say your kids were a little older than they were when you brought your son, but like bring like your 6 or 7-year-old kid and say, hey, I want you to look at this guy. His name's Carlos Vela. He's really good. And the kid's probably like, okay, dad, like that's cool. let's see what happens. And it's almost guaranteed that he's going to make you look good as a dad. Like, not only is your son going to be like, hey, my dad knows what he's talking about. That's pretty cool. But your son might walk away with a memory that makes him a soccer fan for the rest of his life. It makes him a Carlos Vela fan for the rest of his life. And for a club just starting, like, it's fine that all of us grown men are Carlos Vela fans, but like, it's about the younger generation and the kids carrying it on, right? Like, I agree with you, Travis. There maybe never will be a player better than Carlos Vela in LAFC's history, but like, those kids got to see him and be like, I'm going to be better than that. Like, that's the cool part of the game. That's one of the reasons why I love that soccer does not retire jersey numbers. Like, yes, no one is wearing number 10 right now, but one day there will be someone to show up to this club and be like, fuck it, I want to wear 10. I want to do the things that he did, or I want to do better. He might be the one. You never know. And look, if it was, and he's a homegrown kid too, even better for this club, right? But again, that's the level that Carlos Vela set wearing that number, and that's the level that you got to get even close to be considered a legend for this club. So I can't overstate it enough. Like, that's incredible. Like, for what he did for, a younger generation, and just like things that you just don't expect to see. Like, you just don't. Soccer's such a game where you can't say, like, I think if we show up today, our star player is going to score. Well, guess what? There was one season where we could show up to the stadium, our home stadium, and pretty much be guaranteed that our favorite player was going to score a goal. That's fucking incredible.
I'm sad now. I don't want him to go.
Yeah, if I cry during this episode, it's I'm on a lot of drugs. I'm still recovering from surgery. Yeah. There's a lot of pain that I'm still experiencing.
Can you cry? Did they do anything to your tear ducts or anything?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
You just cry blood.
There's a chance
like,
we'll
that's
bad.
Yeah.
Your
face just explodes.
Let's play some of the voice memos people sent.
Yeah, there's some great voice memos. If we have time, we'll also get to some of the written. There are some things that people wrote that are really worth reading, but I don't know if we'll get to them. We get
we can pick a couple of the voice memos and some of the written ones. It's up to you.
All right, so this one is from @Diego the Lonely. He sent it to us through Twitter.
100% my favorite memory of Carlos will definitely be against Club América in the CONCACAF Champions League. Him scoring those 2 goals, especially after the half where we lost the Tuesta to a red card, a BS red card. And I remember just feeling down. I knew it was over. I think my dad even saw me, and he saw that I was depressed about it. But then him scoring those 2 goals in like 2 minutes, that gave me hope and belief. My friends on my Discord call just were confused at me yelling in the span of 2 minutes, like out of nowhere, because I didn't even know what was happening how Carlos was doing that. I'm also just going to miss his goals, his environment. I was able to see so many goals from him from on TV in stadium. It was great to see the rivalry against him and Zlatan, him and Chicharito. He is 100% my favorite player of all time, and I'm definitely going to miss him. It's going to suck not having him around. I know he wasn't really around the past year, but it's definitely gonna be hard. I know a lot of people will always say Carlos Vela was the player who could have been so much more, what could have been. But honestly, I think Carlos had his career exactly how he wanted. He played his heart out on the teams he wanted to play, and he knew what he created. He created a legacy, and he created history with us. And I think if he had the choice again, I think he would do it all over again. And I am happy to have witnessed it, and I will miss him. And just thank you, Carlos Vela.
Thank you, Carlos Vela. Thank you, Diego the Lonely. That was beautiful. Everyone rules. This rules.
All right. This one is from Garfield9 on Instagram.
Well, I had a lot of great memories with goals that Carlos Vela has scored. I've been there since, day one, season ticket holder, since before we even had a team, name, colors, anything like that. But anyway, my favorite Carlos Vela moment, it's a tie. The honorable mention is going to be that scissors kick that he scored. That was the beauty of a goal. And I think it was Tim Howard's last game. I think it was. But I think my all-time favorite was that goal against San Jose where he took all of the defenders and then he made that defender slip twice and then the keeper got so upset that he pushed him out of the way. But I think that's my number one memory that I can think of that embodies Carlos Vela. I mean, there's only a few players that can pull something off like that. And to be able to see that live was just even more amazing.
Hell yeah.
Carlos did drop a hat trick on Tim Howard in his final game in MLS.
Cool. Fuck you, Tim Howard.
That is so funny.
He must have been like, I really want to stop him on my last game.
There's something about the combination of like him being like affable and lovable, but also still very cold-blooded on the field that like I can't think of many other players that have that combination. He
would score and then he would like point to his family every fucking time. Mm-hmm. We all knew where his family sat because he would always do something with his kid. He's just the best.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things in this, so many things that we think about players and what they have to be like. Like Darren says, we think like goal scorers, you have to be like Zlatan-like or just cold-blooded and just like a horrible, like some people say that like great goal scorers are horrible people. Like they have to be selfish in that. And like he really wasn't, but he was still, as Darren said, like he still had that like cold-bloodedness where like he was competitive. Again, I can't, just because he didn't act like it didn't mean he wasn't competitive. The dude knew he was good and loved showing it to everybody.
Let's do another one.
This is from Tovar Steak on IG.
It's noon over in La La Land, so I don't think you guys have done the show yet, but I'm down here in Texas, so I hope I caught you all. But I did want to leave a little voice message about the GOAT, the LAFC GOAT, El Eterno 10, the Eternal 10, Orgullo Mexicano. What else is there to say about the one, or in this case, the 1-0, right? Carlos, what he means to the team, the fan base, the community, even all the way down here in Texas, that's what it means. The bringing the community or the sense of community all the way down south, of course, south of the border, and even linking up to a podcast like you guys. So cheers to Carlitos V and Darren, Vince, and Trav. Man, we'll pour one out for him.
Now I have to clean up this water I just poured out. That was great. And thank you, Carlos Vela, for getting us a podcast listener. It means a lot.
All right. This next one was written in from Karen Peacock, who has written in the past. Karen writes, "Hi, Half a Sappho. It's impossible to choose a single favorite memory from my all-time favorite player, who also happens to be the most important in LAFC history. One memory that does stand out for me is the aptly named Houdini goal against San Jose in 2019. My friend and I had relocated from our normal seats near the north end to sit in the south end for that game, and that gave us an incredible view as Carlos scored the most jaw-dropping goal I've ever seen in person. Watching him move down the field toward us, misdirecting one player with a dummy to Diego Rossi, and leaving several players on the ground in his wake, it really did feel like a magician was at work. Thank you for all you do to enhance my LAFC experience. Karen." P.S. In looking on Instagram tonight, I am reminded that another favorite memory of Carlos is of his incredible handsomeness. And what a true loss even that superficial measure has been. He really was the perfect choice in every way for anchoring a brand new team.
Beautiful King's Quest V music, Darren. Really good job.
Please throw. I have something to say about this, but I don't want it with the music. It's too much. Karen, thank you for the memory, and I want to share that it's awesome that you call it the Houdini goal.
A lot of people do.
And a lot of people do because for me, I like, if people remember when I did work for the club, we used to do a little thing called Anatomy of a Goal, and I loved to do it. I loved it so much because it was my chance to be super nerdy. But every single one of the players that we would put on there after a while started hating doing it just because, I don't know, maybe it was me. But that during that, we were doing it for that goal. And I remember we had Walker and we had Tristan. And the reason we had Walker and Tristan is because we asked Tristan, but Tristan wouldn't do it alone. So Walker came to be his emotional support buddy. And Walker knew that I loved to do these and knew that I loved to do them super technical. So when I said to him, what would you call the goal if you had to call it something? Off camera, he was like, "What do you mean? Call it something?" I'm like, "I don't know. Just call it anything." He's like, "It's a goal. It's a great goal." I'm like, "Yeah, but like call it something." And so he sits there for a second and then he goes, the Houdini goal. And if you could have seen me off camera, I was like ready to like storm off and be like, the Houdini goal? Are you kidding me? And he had this classic way, which Walker did because he was an incredible interview, of then being like, yeah, the Houdini goal. And let me tell you why. Because he disappeared and then reappeared. And then the woman that I worked with, who was amazing, that worked at the club with me and did all the shots with me, Lauren Terry, like she put it together to sequence so well. So as Walker's describing it, it really does look like he's a magician through it. So it's extra special that people still call it the Houdini goal, but it was super cool to be like part of that moment, and people will still remember it that way. But Walker,
but it started as a fuck you to you.
Yeah. Seriously, when I ask you a question, now Walker, again, he's an amazing interview. And honestly, like I said, by the time he finished and like got back to like, he always stuck the landing. Like he would say something just to like mess with you, but then got all the way around and was like, bam. And then I remember him leaving after and just being like, I can't believe that guy did that. But like I said, Lauren took it and she made it amazing. And so I'm glad that people still remember it that way.
I love that. That's such a cool. Yeah, it's so cool to know that you were a part of that in some small way too.
All right, this one's from Heidi. This was short and sweet. She said, best Carlos moment ever was the Pinche Trofeo speech. Let's play it now. I'll put it on the screen.
Recuerdo el primer día que llegué aquí a Los Ángeles, estuve aquí. Les prometí que íbamos a hacer algo grande, que íbamos a ser campeones. Me tardé 5 años, no por tanto, pero aquí está el pinche trofeo. Y lo mejor está por venir. Es el primero de muchos. Y creo que todos están cansados de escuchar hablar a la gente. ¡Empieza la fiesta! What's in the slots, Carlos Vela?
He throws the mic. Just fuck this.
Hell yeah.
And she says second best moment is when he threw the mic at the end of that video.
All right, let's play the last voice memo, and then we'll put the rest of these text one up somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone who sent in all the other text ones. They were all great. We'll put them up so everyone can read them because you should take some time to do that. Okay, this one's from Justin W., who, if you watch recent post games, you might recognize.
Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time emailer. I wanted to get a little personal with this story or message, so if you guys don't mind. In 2019, I got my first big boy job. I got my first teaching gig right out of college. And I finally had some money to spend. And so I decided to spend my money by going to a lot of LAFC games. Now, unfortunately for me, I live about 3.5 to 4 hours, depending on traffic, hours away from LA. So it's kind of hard to go to games, especially alone. So I was able to kind of talk my girlfriend to go with me to these games. So, you know, that means a lot of early mornings or late nights, kind of going back and forth to those games. A lot of just hours staring at each other in the car. But I was able to take her to a few games, and she loved it. I loved it. You know, I loved watching the team score goals. We broke all the records that year, of course, the magical run that we had in 2019. And she loved watching Carlos Vela. Sure, it was because he scored 34 goals and he had all these assists, and it totally wasn't because he was good looking and his hair was perfect and, you know, it was none of that. It had everything to do with his performance on the field. And so, sure enough, I'll never forget my favorite memory I have of him is when me and my girlfriend went to the last home game of the year. I believe the last game of the year in 2019, regular season game of the year. Carlos Vela scored a hat trick against Colorado. to break the record. He scored the 34th goal on a kind of weird bicycle kick, and the crowd lost their minds.
Oh, my phone.
I'll never forget cheering in the stands and looking over at my girlfriend and just her whispering in my ear, hey, we should come to more of these. And we did. 2021, I was able to save enough money to buy season tickets, which means a lot more trips to LA, which means a lot more just 8-hour car rides, staring at each other in the car. 2022, I was able to re-up my season tickets. And I'm super glad that I did, being able to watch the team, lift its first trophy, was just insane to think about. And of course, it was even more insane that my girlfriend was with me the whole time. Not only was that run magical, but, me and my girlfriend kind of fell in love with each other more and more and more each kind of car ride. I don't want to get super sentimental or anything. But that next year in 2023, I decided to take a little step further, and I was able to ask her to marry me at an LAFC game. And a lot of that has to come down to Carlos Vela. If he wasn't so goddamn good looking, I don't think she would have had any interest in going to these games. And again, if she didn't want to go with me to these games, then we wouldn't have spent those countless hours together in the car, just falling in love with each other. So when I think of Carlos Vela, I think of good times. Good, boring times in the car. Thanks, guys.
Fucking incredible. That's so beautiful. I'm so thankful that we did this segment. This is incredible. Yeah. This is one of my favorite things we've ever done on this show.
It's pretty special.
We get caught in the minutia of the day-to-day because we preview every episode and post-game every episode that you very rarely get to look back on what the last 8 years have meant. And it's really nice to just be like, wow, that was really special. And we had something really special and we continue to. And it's just this guy proposed to his fucking wife and it's directly correlated to Carlos Vela's hat trick. That's such a wonderful, I don't know, man. It's a special club and community to be a part of. And I'm so thankful to do this podcast and have all of you guys hanging out and listening and two beautiful hosts that I get to do this with. What a wonderful episode. And it's not over yet. When we come back, what a wonderful episode. And if you want to solve this puzzle in King's Quest V, talk to the owl. When we come back, we're going to make some bets.
And we're back. Now it's time for a segment called Bet It and Forget It.
Bet It and Forget It.
Every week we end the show with a bet for this week's game. We make an outlandish prediction, something that almost definitely will not happen, but could. Each week we all put up $5. If no one hits, the money rolls over to the next week. Eventually, by the time someone's weird prediction comes true, they might win a good chunk of change. None of our bets hit last week, so the pool for this week is, I believe, the highest it has ever been, $220.
You guys better fucking pay up when I hit this week.
Yeah, this is getting out of control.
My bet is Carlos Vela hat trick.
Carlos Vela.
Yes.
I rewatched the highlights of that game last night, and the people who wrote in and called in talking about that game were not lying. I mean, he put the team on his back hard. It was an incredible performance. I don't think they announced him leaving this week not on purpose.
Oh,
it's part of the hype, I think.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it, but it's possible. All right. I have a bet that I'm very confident in, and it is directly related to that last time we played them. We will be down in the first half. And in the second half, we will have 0 goals in the first half. We will be down. In the second half, we will come back and win the game. I'm not going to predict a score, but we will be down at halftime. I'll just say we're down at halftime. We'll come back and win the game in the second half. Do you think that that's outlandish enough? We're down at halftime. We won't have a goal. And by the end of the game, we will have won.
Yeah, that feels outlandish enough. Yeah.
So we have 0 goals at halftime. We will have won the game by the end of the game. just like Daddy Carlos did for us last time.
Poppy.
That's good.
History rhymes, baby.
I'm going to do my oldie but goodie. Only goals by current or former LAFC players.
Oh. That one like feels so ripe every time.
It does. It comes so close too, and it just doesn't quite get over. Like the fact that over 2 games, it was like going into that Galaxy game, Travis was legitimately scared that I was going to pull that off after beating Seattle 4-0. Like
Galaxy one's sneaky too.
It was.
Well,
and this one's sneaky too, but also like Brian is not their main goal scorer.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's going to have a fucking chip on his shoulder. It's scary because when you say it, it sounds like, well, both teams it'll have to go. But it's like, that just means anyone in LAFC scores and Brian Rodriguez is their only goal scorer.
Or it means possible. LAFC.
Or we shut them out.
Shuts them out, but like who feels that like that's going to actually happen? That's why it is still a bet.
It's very good. It's a very solid. It's nice and outlandish and also like.
Okay. It feels like scary. A bet Vegas would legitimately take and give you odds on and be like, oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Here's something we haven't discussed yet. This is a 1-game play-in. So if it's tied, they're going to have to go to BKs eventually, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it? I mean, I imagine they have 2. It's like World Cup rules, right? So there'll be extra time and then PKs?
2 15-minute extra periods and then PKs.
Okay. I guess my bet is going to be that LAFC wins on PKs.
Wins on PKs, not just goes to PKs. Hell yeah.
Okay.
We lost on PKs.
I want it to be goes to PKs, but I don't like the taste of winning.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Okay.
So I got to go with the win.
All right. We shall see. Thick sewed, guys. Our theme music is done by the insane team of James Valentine, Nate Walcott, and Louis Palmer. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel where all our episodes are available at youtube.com/@happyfootsadfoot. If you made it this far in the episode and you're enjoying yourself, please help us out. And there's 2 ways that really mean a lot that you could do that. The first is becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/happyfootsadfoot. If that $5 a month is out of the realm of possibility for you financially at the moment, that's okay. There's other ways you can help us. And the main way to do that is to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, telling people that you listen to the show, preferably a good review. But just leaving us a review would be a big help over at Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And subscribe and thumbs up this YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube as well. That actually does go a long way to helping other people find the show. So if you can't afford to help us out financially, just consider doing some of those things and telling a friend. Any support goes a long way to keeping the community growing and the show going. Thanks again. And we'll see you at the Club World Cup 1-game playoff at BMO Stadium, everyone. I love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.
Vince, Carlos is listening. Say it.
I mean, I love Carlos.
So say it.
Yeah, I love Carlos.
I hate this song so much. Bye.